It is becoming increasingly clear that Donald Trump is attempting to conceal aspects of his troubling past. A significant development this week may shed light on why Trump allegedly directed his top two Justice Department official Pam Bondi and Todd Blanche to declare that the absent list does not exist and to shut down both the investigation and any effort to release the absent files. The US Supreme Court is now preparing to hear what could be the final appeal from Ghislaine Maxwell, once a close association of Trump and the convicted accomplice of Jeffrey Epstein in his sex trafficking operation. Maxwell is currently serving a lengthy prison sentence after being found guilty of aiding Epstein in trafficking underage girls. According to the Daily Mail and other outlets, Maxwell is reportedly willing to reveal names, files, and the contents of so-called absent list, but only if a deal can be arranged, potentially with Trump aligned figure within the DOJ. Source indicates she is ready and able to disclose everything if it serves her legal interest. This appeal, now heading to the Supreme Court, could be a turning point, not just for Maxwell, but for anyone implicated in Absence Network. As the legal process unfolds, close attention must be paid to how Trump's former DOJ operatives and possibly Trump himself respond to Maxwell moves. The implication could be explosive. Jeffrey Epstein, longtime associate Ghislaine Maxwell, is reportedly prepared to reveal the identities on the infamous client list if she is granted a deal. According to source, close the situation, Maxwell is willing to exchange the absent list in the return of a non-prosecution agreement. With her case now pending before the US Supreme Court, insiders suggest she is signing to Donald Trump. If her appeal is denied, she may release the list unless a deal is made. This may explain why Trump has recently tried to downplay or discredit the list's existence. If the list is declared fake or non existent, as Trump and some Republican officials now claim, Maxwell could argue that the original trace was based on false premises that could potentially qualify her for a retrial, especially since key evidence was excluded during her original proceeding. Let's break this down. During Trump administration, his criminal defense attorney Todd was appointed as Deputy Attorney General, working directly under Attorney General Pam Bondi. Amimo was then released, purportedly coordinated with figures like Kash Patel and Dan Bongino, the FBI director and deputy director at the same time, stating there is no absent list. There is no absent list and that all investigation had been shut down. This unarranged many mega supporters who had been led to believe the absent files and were real and imminent. They demanded answer from Bondi asking, why did you claim the list was on your desk? Why were mega influencers parading around with the absent list binders? Were you lying to protect pedophiles or is Trump covering it up because he's on the list? Then Trump posted on social media claiming the absent files do exist, but that they were created by Democrats like Obama, Hillary Clinton, and James Comey as part of a hoax to hurt him politically. This explanation did not sit well with many of his own supporters either. Now, imagine this from Maxwell perspective. She's been convicted based on evidence that include reference to a client list, and now the former president of the United States is publicly claiming that the whole thing was a hoax. She could argue that had this information been available at the time of her trial, it could have changed the outcome and thus she deserved a retrial. So the question is, by attempting to discredit the absent case, is Trump inadvertently helping Ghislaine Maxwell reopen hers? And if so, is this part of an effort to keep her from releasing the client list if the Supreme Court denies her appeal? Ultimately, Trump's own statement may not only give Maxwell new legal leverage but also potentially prevent her from exposing the full extent of what she knows. Prince Andrew, who was previously all but barred from entering the United States due to his ties to Jeffrey Epstein, is now apparently free to travel here again. Here's one of the individual named in connection with Ghislaine Maxwell, part of the group that Donald Trump now claims does not even exist. Andrew had been under investigation for his link to the both Epstein and Maxwell. Now he is out and about seemingly celebrating like who I can go to the US again. It's as if he believes Trump and the FBI gave him a free pass. That brings up a basic question. Trump is listed as D-174 in connection with the several civil absent case. So, if there's a D-174, would not there also be a D-173, 175, and so on 123? Does not that, by definition, suggest a list? I have gone over this analysis before, but for those turning in for the first time, here's a quick breakdown. Only about 10% of absent related documents have been released, around 90% remain sealed. In the material that has been released through civil and criminal proceeding, if you were to ask something like ChatGPT to identify the name that appear most frequently, it would likely be Donald Trump. Back in 2002, Trump even said Epstein was a terrific guy who liked women on the younger side. And then there is a Virginia Giffey who was underage when she was trafficking by Epstein and Maxwell. She later died by suicide. Virginia had been working underage at Mar-a-Lago when Ghislaine Maxwell recruited her, and from there she was trafficked to Epstein. Here's what Virginia had to say about being trafficked by Ghislaine Maxwell. Play this clip.
Virginia Roberts was working in the spa at Donald Trump's Mar-a-Lago club in Palm Beach when British socialite Ghislaine Maxwell.
Donald Trump appeared on Jeffrey Epstein flight logos at least 7 times based on small portion that has been made public. His name also comes up repeatedly in victim deposition during Epstein-related proceeding. Some of the victims testified that Epstein contacted Trump from Atlantic City and once even recounted being introduced to Trump by Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell when she was just 14-year old. During Maxwell's criminal trial, that same victim, then referred to as a Jane Doe, testified that the introduction occurred while she was still a minor. Incredibly, in 2024, Trump reportedly used Epson's old jet for his campaign, simply rebranding it with Trump 2024 markings. There's a long list of troubling connections, but one moment that stands out is when Trump, during Maxwell sex trafficking trial, was asked what he had to say to her, and he responded, "I wish her well." Here's play the clip.
Ghislaine Maxwell is in prison, and a lot of people want to know if she's going to turn in powerful people.
So when Trump asked by access, "Why did you say you wish her well? She is a convicted sex trafficking. Why not condemn her?" The question really struck a nerve. After all, why would anyone wish a sex trafficking well? Here's play the clip.
Mr. President, the other day a reporter asked you about Ghislaine Maxwell. You said, quote, "I just wish her well, frankly. I've met her numerous..."
Yeah, that was another major red flag. And by the way, Donald Trump biographer, who was also slated to write a biography on Epstein but never completed. Why? Mitchell Wolf recently gave an interview where he made a startling claim. He said, "I have been the photos of Trump and Epstein with the net girl." Oh, according to him, the image exists. Here's play the clip.
Know that these pictures exist, and I can describe them. There are about a dozen of them. The ones I specifically...
And then we had Michael Wolff on Media's Touch, and he revealed that during his interviews with Trump, he was explicitly warned, "You could ask about anything except Epstein." If Epstein came up, Trump would shut down and refuse to answer. Here's play the clip.
No, and I think the thing you have to return to here is, I mean, Donald Trump has got...
And of course, we also found out that during his first term, Donald Trump reportedly considered granting a pardon to Ghislaine Maxwell. And it's not just Trump, others from his administration have connection to Epstein too. Even RFK Jr. has weighed in. Here's what he had to say. Let's play the clip.
You weren't ever on Jeffrey Epstein's jet, were you?
I was on Jeffrey Epstein's jet too.
This is a major development as the Supreme Court now has the opportunity to hear Ghislaine Maxwell case. We will see what they decided in the coming days. Regardless of the outcome, could Maxwell now seek a retrial by urging that her case was politically compromised? After all, the President of the United States publicly called her entire trial a hoax and claimed it was not a legitimate. Could she use that as grounds to say she did not receive a free trial? If so, might she use the absent client list as leverage, essentially holding it over Trump's head? Could that leave Trump in a position where he is now subservient Maxwell demand, potentially subverting national interest in favor of some convicted of sex trafficking? And what about the victim? If this path unfolds, what does it leave them? I will keep you updated every step of the way.